Good Monday morning to you all. Hopefully you guys are doing great. Hopefully you got your coffee and the day is starting. We have another Watchmen update for you. We got mask mandates coming back, friends. Hopefully you're paying attention because the blue areas are absolutely urging masks to be used indoors again. We got some reports coming from you guys seeing this and being kind of flabbergasted by it. But yeah, apparently it's coming back. We got a frozen vegetable recall in 6 states. We got the U.S. Going to cut military aid to wealthy European nations, about time. And the U.S. is done letting other countries wrongfully detain U.S. citizens. Again, just about time. We got 300 plus Koreans arrested in Georgia for overstaying visas. Big deal there. And the U.S. fight with Venezuela is about to go to 11. That and a whole lot more. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates that you guys are sending in. If you have something to share, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. That gets it to the right place. Thanks so much for being part of the Watchmen community, everyone. Appreciate you guys. And we also do want to thank our sponsors, Genesis Gold Group. They help people with retirement accounts. So if you got a 401k, IRA, and you don't want to be in the stock market gambling anymore, if you want to leave the casino and cash out, not into dollars, because that's a fool's errand right there, but if you want to get into physical precious metals, silver, gold, platinum, Jonathan and his team at Genesis Gold can talk to you about what that would look like, what the fees are. You can see if it's a good fit for you and your family. If you want to find out more, there'll be a link at the end of the video. A whole bunch of you guys have talked with them, and a whole bunch of you guys have moved forward with them, and I still just heard nothing but good things about them from you guys. All right, the U.S. Is going to start cutting military aid, particularly for the Baltic states. Now, these aren't the wealthiest nations in Europe, but they are wealthy nations in Europe. I mean, yeah, there's countries that have more per capita and such, but we're not talking about like people living in huts, okay? These are European countries where they look down their long noses at the unwashed Americans who work long hours. And even though they do border Russia and Belarus, the fact is that they can defend themselves and they can lean on other European countries to help defend them, and they don't need the United States, who is literally on the other side of the planet, to come and defend them against the big bad next door neighbors. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. California. Yes, here we go. Here we go again, friends. California, their health officials are once again urging residents to consider wearing face masks in indoor public spaces. I've been warning you that those stickers on the floors and the placards and the plastic screens, they didn't disappear because they were just waiting to use them again. Why is California saying this? Well, apparently there's a new wave of COVID-19 sweeps across the state. Oh, so lots of people are getting sick and perishing? Well, not exactly. The reminder comes as tests, yes, test numbers, hospital visits, and wastewater. Yes, they're testing your poo water and your sewage. They're sticking their little COVID tests into the sewage water, and it's been more positive than it was before. Whatever that means. I don't know. Maybe somebody's coughing into the sewage water. I don't know. But California is like, okay, time to put the masks back on, and you're going to hear from one of you guys that Virginia is like, yes, sir. Because, of course, Virginia takes its orders from, Northern Virginia takes its orders from California. President Trump has signed an executive order paving the way for states to be designated, not states like in the U.S., but like foreign countries, designated sponsors of wrongful detention. The United States will target countries that are wrongfully detaining U.S. citizens and designate them or something. I don't know. We'll see kind of what that looks like, but apparently it's moving forward. So, oh, this is a nice one for those of you who are in California. Like, that seems entirely reasonable. Put those masks back on. President Biden has launched a fundraising round to push to build his presidential library. So, former President Biden has decided to build his presidential library in Delaware. No surprise there. So if you got wealthy in the last, 4 years during his presidency and want to donate to some cause, that's a great opportunity for you. You can go ahead and do that with your money that you have left over after all the taxes. All right, moving down to Georgia. 300 plus Koreans have been arrested for having overstayed their visas. They were detained at the construction site for a Hyundai plant down there. So Korea's like, we're going to invest all this money into America. And then they hired a bunch of Koreans who had overstayed their visas to build the plant. And then ICE showed up and arrested them. Arrested about 500 people who did not have proper work permits and did not have permission to be in the United States. 300 of them happened to be Korean. Korea immediately kicked up a fuss about that, got all bent out of shape that America's targeting their Koreans. Yeah, well, maybe you should have your people actually do their visas properly and not just overstay. Because I promise you, if you as an American overstay your visa in Korea, it will not go well for you. Will not go well for you. All right, President Trump weighs strikes on Venezuela, targeting cartels, and that being part of a wider campaign to pressure Maduro. So we don't like the regime down there, apparently. You and I are being told that that's what we believe. So apparently we're going to start attacking the Maduro regime. We talked about this yesterday afternoon a little bit. If you want to go check out that video, I go into more in depth on that. Frozen vegetables sold in 6 states recalled over listeria contamination. The products under recall sold by Endico Potatoes Incorporated of Mount Vernon are 2.5-pound bags of frozen peas, carrots, and frozen mixed vegetables. The bags bearing the Endico label were distributed between July 18th and August 4th. So the last couple of months if you bought frozen vegetables. This was sold in stores in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Florida. This is according to the FDA, and this is just released. Recall for these effective items, peas and carrots, production date June 11th, use by date June 10th, 2027. Mixed vegetables, production date June 17th, and use by date June 16th, 2027. So check your freezers, friends. Make sure you don't have anything in there. And as always, cook your vegetables, please. John says, visiting my mom in Northern Virginia. Went to Giant Food Store here in Oakton, Virginia, a wealthy suburb of D.C., for a few items. Weird. 11:30 a.m. Thursday. Now, once again, this is the very northern tip of Virginia, which is the suburbs of Washington, D.C. This is about as deep blue as you possibly could be. Like all the people that work at the FDA and the CDC, they all live like right there, okay? These guys vote overwhelmingly liberal, like massively liberal. All right, so what's it look like on a Thursday? The parking lot was almost empty. Maybe 4 cars parked there. Went in and the few shoppers had small grocery carts with very little in them. Went to check out and they had the plastic COVID barriers back up at the conveyor belts. And the employees were almost all wearing masks because California said so. Yes, sir. Ma'am. Yes, they. Whatever. Don't want to assume here today. Don't want to assume. Anyway, so I just laughed and shook my head. The bread aisle was decimated. So nothing decimates the bread aisle like, a COVID scare coming from California in a deep blue area. So I bet the same thing's happening in New York City. Pasta, soups, cleaning products, and ice cream sections and shelves have all been shrunk. I guess even the rich elitist sections of town are now beginning to feel both the price increases and the shortages. And, well, they're panicking because they have a crisis. That and the rising sea levels and the increasing temperatures, I think. So don't talk to them. They will just get angry with you and steal your kids' baseballs. Anyway, Gary says, garden, Los Angeles, Northridge, California. My garden was going great. Tomatoes, 6 different types, 3 feet tall, no bugs. Strawberries looked good, but only a few were produced. I had a beehive about 60 feet from the garden. 2 to 3 weeks ago, almost overnight, everything went brown and died. Yikes. Potatoes, 5 bags, all about 16 inches high. 2 days. Leaves looked totally different at 6 a.m. Leaves went from dark green to speckled. 6 different types of potatoes. So it's not just one variety. 2 started to lay over. Soil is compost produced, I produced, and potted soil with about 10% dirt. So doing all the things right. Everything was looking good. And then suddenly they just died. That's California for you. But we're getting some other reports out of California. And it's probably not the COVIDs, okay? Toy Car says Torrance, California, 1.5 miles from the Pacific Ocean. Washed my car a few days ago. Today it's covered, fully covered in greasy spots. Soap is required to remove them. Where's all the oil coming from, friends? Where's all these chemicals coming from? Alisef says, I got a grandson who loves coins. Yesterday I found a penny outside that had been dropped this spring or summer. This is the second coin I've found outside that is extremely rough. It makes me think it's been hit with some sort of chemical. Adding to that the garden that didn't produce at all. First time in many years we've had this awful of a result from the garden. Something is falling from the sky that's just not plain rain. I'm seriously thinking we need a greenhouse. At this point, the crazier it sounds, the more likely it is to be true. Tony says, my local food bank in southern Indiana appears, for the most part, thankfully, to have plenty of food this year for people coming in, but has cut back sharply on how much bread we can take home. On my last visit a week and a half ago, they had about half as much bread as they used to, and it was smaller loaves. We used to be able to get 5 loaves on a visit, but last time could only get 1. Jeff says, Utah. Bought canned walnuts from Kroger. Very stale to even eat, but the date's still good. It's supposed to be 2026. 4 fresh garlic bulbs. Now, we've been hearing issues with garlic. Powdered garlic is going into shortage, and the fresh garlic is not the same, okay? 4 fresh garlic bulbs. 2 looked okay on the outside, but were rotten on the inside. Looked at discounted supposedly still good meats. All were brown, not looking red at all. Then I realized that no people were waiting for the discounted meat. You know, recently that's the way it's been. Everyone's like waiting for the discounted meat, but not there. Grabbed some Canadian bacon, looked at the date. The entire section had expired in July. Friends, it's September. And that's the fresh Canadian bacon. Still on the shelf. They must have found an old box and used it and told the manager. I told the manager and they basically ignored me how things have changed. They're desperate to keep the shelves stocked, friends. We're seeing it more and more. Raptured says Burger King in Jacksonville, Florida. charging now $4 for a small styrofoam cup of ice water. $4. They say I can get 32 16.9 ounce bottles of water for $6. DP says the state of Nevada on August 24th experienced a ransomware-based cyber incident. We have a number of the Watchmen kind of reporting what's going on with that. It was discovered August 24th, but of course that's not when we got reported. Just got reported the other day. One of the few things affected, was the background check system for pew-pews. When the Department of Public Safety was contacted regarding this, they said expect another 2 to 4 weeks before it will be corrected. Funny how that works. Just the background checks. Yeah. Diamond Ridge homesteaded, I guess is what it is. I live near Hot Springs, Arkansas, and have noticed a thin, greasy type substance on the metal roof of my house. It is concerning to me, considering I am building a rainwater catchment system for my greenhouse. So we're getting multiple reports of a greasy substance appearing from the sky in the western part of the country, all just in the last couple of days. What is going on, friends? Joy in the South says coffee prices jumped at Dollar General, so I checked Sam's Club today, and the price there jumped too. Things are going to get dicey around here if people can't afford their coffee. You know how some people get, right? Bombsy Cart says we received a notice from our electric company stating that when ditch and fence line spraying would begin. I called and asked for no spray to be used on our property, and it was immediately noted, all via phone and no forms. We may have to do this annually, north of Springfield, Missouri. So be aware if utilities are spraying on your property, friends. Back to Basics Kitchen, etc. says, my grandson has a 401k at work. He just found out that the company who owns it put a freeze on letting them to add to their accounts, saying that they are restructuring it, so they can't make any contributions to their 401k. They were told that they will not be allowed to add to it until next year, but if they want to take it out, they can. I think it's interesting that they're owned by Berkshire Hathaway. Ronald says, my chickens are on free range most of the time except this year. People have been complaining about Tractor Supply chicken feed, and I feed them Tractor Supply chicken feed on a regular basis. Still getting a lot of eggs. Everything that I've grown in my greenhouse is good. Talking about spinach and green lettuce, stuff like that. The chickens have laid eggs on a consistent basis. I would suggest that this seems to be falling out of the skies is the problem in our gardens and in our poultry. And people say that's crazy, but I'm telling you, the Amish around here required them to have greenhouses. Their bishops are requiring them to have greenhouses to grow their food for their family. So the Amish are apparently telling them they have to have greenhouses. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys are hearing. Thanks so much for sending in your reports. If you have anything to add, make sure you use that word update. All right, friends, if you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold, there's a link right there on the screen. Just tap on that, fill out your information, and they'll get in contact with you and answer your questions, offer you some resources like some free books, and see if you want to move forward with them. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report.